Good morning, everyone. I'm filming this in Adelaide, which is on the lands of the Kaurna people, and I acknowledge that your event is taking place on a Awabakal country. I pay tribute to elders, past, present and emerging, for their enduring custodianship of our lands, and acknowledge any First Nations people who are with us today. I am disappointed not to have been able to attend with you in person today. I'm pleased and honoured to be part of this Women's Health Forum, particularly as today marks the launch of the Australian National Research Organisation into Women's Safety report, titled A Life Course Approach to Determining the Prevalence and Impact of Sexual Violence in Australia. Congratulations to Professor Deborah Loxton and your research team for all the work that's gone into the production of this report. I'd also like to acknowledge the ANROWS CEO Padma Raman's leadership of the organisation. I commend you all in achieving what is a huge milestone on the path towards real and effective change in the way we talk about and take action to improve women's safety. Sexual violence is a scourge on our society. It must change. Your research found 51% of women in their 20s, 34% of women in their 40s, and 26% of women aged 68 to 73 have experienced sexual violence. That's half of women in their 20s and 1/3 of women in their 40s. This is simply unacceptable. The Albanese government is seeking nothing short of a complete change in the way women feel they can move about their world as a basic human right, unreserved to a particular gender or sexual identity, and live safe and healthy lives. As the Minister for Social Services, I'm dedicated to working at change that is responsive and effective. Just 12 weeks into this job, I've made this a priority. I've met with my state and territory counterparts on the next national plan to end violence against women and children, and have committed to finalising this by October. It was a critical step that 1-800-RESPECT line was expanded to take calls on workplace sexual harassment, which will give those experiencing it a safe place to talk. Now, prior to my career in politics, I worked as a psychologist, which gave me a clear understanding of the wide-ranging ripple effects that sexual violence can have on a person's sense of self and identity. I'm deeply passionate about this issue, and I will continue to push the national dialogue towards the change we need to see. This report shows the potential to push for and achieve change globally. Australia can take the lead. The ANROWS report shines a light on the chronic and total impact that sexual violence has on the health and well-being of the people who experience these painful and traumatic acts against them. Far beyond the immediate physical effects of violence, many women struggle throughout their lives as a direct result of it. There is an alarming risk between 30 to 40% of victims and survivors of sexual violence having high levels of financial stress and negative impacts on their physical and mental health. Ultimately, many victim survivors of sexual violence are unable to go on from the experiences of violence to live their life to the fullest. This is not okay. The statistics show us there is a long and painful trajectory for a life burdened by an act of sheer ugliness and disgrace by the perpetrator. And it seems the lifetime prevalence of women in these age groups will not go down over the next few decades, but instead may go up. This is also not acceptable. We need to consider the ongoing and intergenerational impacts of domestic and family violence. Children exposed to violence are more likely to experience further violence in adulthood. Addressing the intergenerational impacts of sexual violence is crucial. Previous ANROWS data shows that children exposed to family and domestic violence were almost 5 times more likely to have contact with a mental health service by the time they turn 18 than children with no known experience of violence. Every child has the right to grow up in safety. This is why we're committed to initiatives like Stop It at the Start, which aim to change the attitudes for boys around what respect looks like, so we address it right at the beginning. As a mother of 2 young boys, I see firsthand where the everyday little moments of conversation and demonstration about respect and gender equality will grow and shape their view of the world and the women in it. Reports such as the one launched today will help build a critical foundation for strong policies to be developed and acted upon based on evidence. The Albanese government has safety of women and children and families firmly at its centre and is getting on with the important work of setting policy frameworks like our national plan to end violence against women and children. A key priority area of the national plan is ensuring that victim survivors are supported in all aspects of their daily lives. This includes through trauma-informed, culturally safe and accessible services that do support long-term recovery. The national plan is likely to have a strong focus on responding to sexual violence through the improved experiences of victim survivors of sexual assault in the criminal justice system and strengthening our response to perpetrators. As we measure our progress towards ending violence against women, the important work of ANROWS and others will keep our focus on embedding prevention efforts across all areas of society, while also making sure that we have a strong response, recovery and healing supports within our communities. It is important we continue to work collaboratively and efficiently with states and territories on this crucial issue. Last month, my colleague, the Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, and I did convene a meeting of state and territory ministers responsible for women and women's safety. At this meeting, all governments affirmed their commitment to reducing violence against women and children and agreed the current rates of those experiencing violence, including sexual violence, was unacceptable. To align with the national plan and to progress our goal of being a world leader in the equality for men and women, the government will also develop a national strategy to achieve gender equality under the leadership of Minister Gallagher. Among the priorities, the strategy will include women's economic security and independence, health and well-being, and leadership representation and rights. The report launched today is an important step on our journey towards ending sexual violence against predominantly women. I'm committed to reshaping the national narrative around violence towards women, as I know my ministerial, department and state and territory colleagues are. We know there is work to do, but it is no question that improving women's safety and advancing gender equality are key national priorities. Congratulations on the launch of your report. I do hope you enjoy your forum today. Thank you for having me.